Well, good afternoon. Whether it's lunchtime in San Francisco or 3 o'clock in Cincinnati, we are glad to have you here. My name's Stuart Schaefer. I'm the chair of the Cincinnati chapter. I'm the official part of the welcome wagon. Thanks for taking some time to spend with us, see what's going on in the P&G world and what some of the amazing things our alums are doing. This is our Cincinnati second AI webinar we've done, but it's the first one we've ever done where it's fully co-hosted with another chapter of the San Francisco Bay Area. And so we're thrilled working with them. And I wanted to introduce you to Shantini Mothri, who's also online to say hi from San Francisco.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the San Francisco attendees. And wanted to recognize my co-board members here, Diane Chen, Smriti Sheth, and Julie Lumga, who are on the call. And want to thank you for joining us today. I will be introducing and handing you over to my dear colleague here, Stuart Schaefer, who gives us his time and talent leading the Cincinnati chapter. Stuart is facilitating today's session because of his interest and experience in today's topic on AI and the advantages that he can bring everyone on this call today. Stuart has spent 16 years at P&G, and his last assignment in global business development was where this fever for AI sort of caught on. He was introduced in this department to startup companies, startup accelerators, and angel capital, venture capital, and he just caught the startup bug. Stuart then left P&G and founded his first startup company in 2008, and since then has founded or co-founded four more. You could tell he's got the fever. Stuart was honored to serve as an entrepreneur in residence at the University of Cincinnati and is a three-time member for the National Science Foundation's Innovation Core Technology Accelerator Program. Importantly, Stuart had a hunch in 2020 that AI may be important soon and as an inspiration to all of us further on in our careers. He enrolled in the University of Texas postgraduate classes in artificial intelligence, data science, and data management. He is uh, he is not consulting with companies on AI, but he is consulting with companies on AI and working on his next startup. I have gotten to know Stuart over the course of this experience, and I'm thrilled to offer you this webinar and hand this over to Stuart. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shantini. Well, as for everybody here, I want to tell you that there is a place for you in AI, whether you're just getting started or whether you are well into it. Um, let's see. So I'm anticipating that, okay, we have a quiz about how far into it you are. Well, we see a consensus. Most people are in the modest. Everyone is probably familiar with Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini, et cetera, and probably uses it on a frequent basis. So we were anticipating that's where many of today's questions will come from. A few of them may be in the medium category, where people who will build a model from scratch, but not too many. And will probably follow up with those folks later. Um, and very few are doctor level, writing the bleeding edge technology. Tomorrow we won't cover that at all. Um, so that's where you are. If that sounds like you, you're in the right place. Um, I have to tell you that everybody here, we all work for companies, but we are here as individuals. So we're not here to officially express the company views, and we're not speaking for our companies unless somebody tells you they are. This is our things, and we're talking to our alums and on an individual basis. And for that reason, if we get questions that pertain directly to our work at our companies, we may not be able to talk about that. So bear in mind, there are some constraints. We are recording the event, and we will share the event on YouTube probably in a week. And but we'll hope you'll stay here for the live event and take advantage of the Q&A section and see where it goes. I'll give you a hint. A reason to stay for Q&A is we don't usually post the Q&A at the end. So you get a little bit of an abbreviated one on the YouTube. You'll get the full thing if you stay here. So that should give you some good incentive. I wanted to talk a couple things just to set the stage for everybody, and why we have a range of panelists here, also on the experience stage. And I'm going to share a little chart right out of a textbook, and it's kind of a list of the AI, the big world of AI that's been around for 75 years, and kind of how it's evolved from the big circle to within AI. Machine learning started to get very busy, and really 20 years ago, machine learning and deep learning became a major part of every large corporate organization. And I'll give you some examples, but it's the kind of thing that works within systems. So as a consumer, you don't necessarily see it, but it is running mission critical applications for every large organization today. And then the last thing, the little bubble at the bottom, is generative AI. That's large language models, which is ChatGPT, Copilot, et cetera, et cetera. It's the only part of artificial intelligence that the layperson can interact with directly. The others, you have to know how to code. You have to know a lot of math. You have to know what it's doing. Um, so you can't really interact with them directly, but ChatGPT you can. And so this is a great place to get started and using it. It is the newest. It's also the least mature. So it keeps changing week by week. And, the questions from 2 months ago would probably be answered differently today, some of them. Um, so we'll just consider this a learning journey, and we'll go from there. The other thing I'm going to ask you, that I think is useful as for folks who are in the modest learning and you're trying to learn more, is who should you listen to? You can ask ChatGPT or Copilot, how do I learn about team management in Copilot? And it will tell you. That's a great place to start. Um, but a lot of people still want to listen to a person. And so in the world of AI experts, and this is not a scientific survey, I think there are four kinds of AI experts. Less than 1% of the AI experts are what I'll call AI scientists. These are PhDs with 10 or 20 years. They work at Google and Meta and places like that. Very few in Cincinnati. And they're writing the absolute bleeding edge models of tomorrow. Their budgets are in the billions, et cetera, et cetera. We're not going to cover there are no AI scientists on the panel, and we're not going to cover that today. Although we might get close with Jakob, we'll see. The next one is AI engineer or developer. These people are capable of building models from scratch. So a lot of mission critical things that companies do, like fraud detection for banks, airline pricing, spam filters, Netflix movie recommendations, shipping and logistics routes, um, scheduling and maintenance in factories, queuing simulation for grocery checkout lines, analysis for credit applications, and Amazon product recommendations for a long time have been handled by AI. But these are all embedded things. And these developers are the ones who build those. And they're built from scratch. The developers usually know a lot about other things too, but they sort of specialize in building from scratch. Enterprise tools. Then there's a big group, and there are a bunch of people here in Cincinnati that are what I call them trainers, but they're really business people. They take commercial packages that are already written and help companies decide what are your needs, which is the right package, and how can I implement this to get the most value out of it? Because a lot of these things they've never done before, and they don't even know really how to think about how do I even shop for an AI tool. So these people are super valuable, and we have that represented on our panel well. And then there's a big group. If you go on YouTube or LinkedIn, I call them influencers. They are people who read a lot of newsletters. They're really great for like keeping up with trends, but you really wouldn't want to ask them any questions like, what tool should my company use to schedule my factory? They don't really know. They know a lot of what's happening in new, and that's kind of what they do. But we for today are kind of in that middle group. We're trainers and engineers and developers. That's really the sweet spot for business. So that was the thinking as we were putting this together today. Okay. Well, I want to introduce our panelists. Kevin Wenzel is, we'll start with you, 20 years at Procter. He just left a year ago, so he's a newbie in the alumni world. Last role as a brand VP, strategic growth initiatives in home care. Interestingly, one of those strategic growth initiatives was Chat PG, which is P&G's version of Chat GPT. Um, Importantly for Kevin, he's been a Gen AI pioneer. When I say Gen AI, think Copilot, um, uh, ChatGPT, et cetera. Gen AI, he's been a pilot with Procter and Gamble, and he's gone on to help many other companies, and he's also a lecturer at universities on where is this going. So you'll have a lot of good questions for him. He also told me if he can talk about it, about a Harvard study in P&G and ChatPG, which I think is a fascinating story. So welcome, Tevin. Hector Medina is 17 years at Procter in IT and supply chain. He left in 2008 and has done many cool things since then. He was a senior director of IT at Luxottica. He's a VP of IT at Macy's. He was a CIO at Topco. And now he's at Microsoft, a global technology strategist. And I think what Hector does is he works with CIOs of companies on helping them understand how in the world Microsoft can help them use AI most productively. So everything soup to nuts at Microsoft, which is pretty much everything these days. So thanks, Hector. And then Jakob, he was 10 years at Procter, leaving 2014. So another new alum. Um, Excuse me, 2014. So 10 years ago. Sorry, 11 years. After leaving Procter, he went to I think the Bay Area right away. Spent 6 years at Google in HQ, a project manager of 3 teams, focusing mostly on trust and safety. Um, we don't want to make today all about trust and safety, but the last time we did this, we got a lot of questions about trust and safety. The reason we won't spend a lot of time on it is there's not a lot that you and I can do about trust and safety at Google. It's just kind of interesting. But then he went from Google. He spent 2 years at ByteDance, which operates TikTok, and again, director of trust and safety and product management. Then a year at Meta for social impact and well-being, and today he's at Amazon. So I don't know who's left in the Bay Area that's a big name. And he's doing a senior manager, technical product manager, building the next version of Alexa, among other things. So we have an esteemed panel here today. And I'm going to start the first question for Jakob. How in the world does somebody from Procter and Gamble get a resume like yours?
Just open ChatGPT or Gemini and and ask for it to apply for the jobs. No, kidding aside, there wasn't an AI. I guess Steve Jobs famously said, "You connect the dots looking backwards is easy, but when you look ahead, it's harder. Following your passion, being open to risks, relocations, new areas, and using your network. So the people you meet. I remember my first training in P&G where the facilitator said, "Look around. This is the group of people," and I was like 24 at that time. "This is the group of people that you will be relying on for the rest of your life." And that was powerful and super true many, many years later.
Ah, wow. Okay. Well, Hector, you talk to CEOs now. You were a CEO, CIO, excuse me, CIO, and now you talk to CIOs all the time. Um, how did you leverage that to the role you have at Microsoft, and what are the biggest concerns that are on your plate today?
Well, I use a lot of my experience when Microsoft was my vendor, right? To when
Ah,
I talk with the CIO because I feel the pain that they feel, and the things that work and things that doesn't work or things that can be improved even inside Microsoft. So I use a lot of that experience on my current role and try to put it in the same words that they can understand and even with the business. Sometimes now I talk with CMOs and CFOs as well. And that helped me a lot and helped me to bring that technology to the business in the business language and with the CIOs. And some of the concerns are very actually interesting when I talk with the CIOs about AI and all that. It is a lot of misconceptions sometimes in still in the market with executives about AI and what AI can or cannot do and how fast you can or not implement it and why you need to implement it as well. And I'm sure we're going to discuss some of that as we go into the panel.
okay. Well, Kevin, you're the newest out of Procter. What's it like the first year out? And what are you finding about your P&G experience that's useful?
Yeah. So, one of the strangest feelings was 21 years of scanning my badge at the door of the GO every morning. And those first couple weeks of, instinctively reaching for the lanyard and it's not there and nothing to swipe, that took a little adjustment. But in all seriousness, I think we just get such amazing training as P&Gers, no matter how long you're there. And I probably underestimated just how valuable our skill set is once you leave. Just knowledge of strategy, knowledge of problem solving, partnering with teams, just the kinds of things that are instinctive when you're there. Even at other great companies with great people, it's just P&G takes it to a different level. So it's been great for me to come in and feel like I can add value when I come into a client. And my own reaction is kind of, well, I'm just doing what's normal for me over 20 years. And so I would just say, don't underestimate the power of the training that we get. It's extremely valuable out in the wild.
Great. Well, this is for anyone. Probably the number one the number one job title that folks have that show up for our events is consultant, and a lot of them are like a one person consultant. So, what do you say to a person who's they're selling Bob Smith or Susan Smith consulting? How can they use AI? Where should they start?
I
So
think, Kevin, you're uniquely positioned now to answer this
it was
first.
Because that is
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very happy to take that. And what I like to tell people is I find there's an incredibly productive sort of dual use of a tool like Copilot or ChatGPT. And the way I think about it is, what are the tasks where you wish you had an assistant, a really powerful assistant, like the most amazing intern that you could imagine, who could go off and do work for you? Things like summarizing huge bodies of information and just giving you a nice concise summary that's relevant for what you're trying to do, or writing emails, writing documents, things like that. So, and those are very common uses. In fact, those are the kind of uses where a lot of people start with generative AI tools. But then I like to push people. There's a whole other range of uses that is, I would say, probably less common today, but much more powerful, which is how do you use the tools as a strategic thought partner? One of my clients described it as like a sparring partner, somebody who can push you and challenge you in your thinking. So, why shouldn't I pursue this path? What am I missing? What are risks or unintended consequences? I'm making a recommendation, but what if? What if we go into recession? What if we don't go into recession? Um, Simulating how a competitor might respond. I mean, everything that I just described, a tool like Copilot or ChatGPT can do in a matter of seconds. And I just coach people suddenly now as a consultant or an independent business person, you can move from playing checkers and like working hard just to get one move ahead to now you're playing chess and you're anticipating and thinking 3, 4 moves ahead with this amazing sparring partner. So I think starting with the like intern type tasks, but then quickly moving into these more strategic tasks is a great way of thinking about using those tools.
Yeah, and I think even to make proposals for your clients and things like that. Before I started Microsoft, I was helping some startups. And one startup that I was very engaged, they asked me to help them to create some things, and I didn't even know where to go to start. And then I started using it to create a proposal, and 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 took me minutes. Where that will take me hours to create a proposal. Obviously, it's a tool. You need to refine it, but help you with a lot of information and search and put it in a format that will be very good digestible for your clients. So a format that is very common for consultants to get. So what's a very usable tool.
Yeah, I'll just add that for me, it's like you move. I see that journey that Kevin was describing. You move from very simple, more transactional jobs that you can quote unquote outsource to the AI agent of your choosing. And later on, it slowly rises up the ranks to become a trusted partner. And you're basically hired somebody or hired multiple people. So you can multiply your output significantly because you have now suddenly a bunch of AI staffers doing the work for you. So that's how I think about it, and that's how I use it. And there's a wonderful product podcast that's about product management is dead by Claire Vaux. And that really, it's a 6-minute video. We're happy to share that later on. That really starts with, what can I use? Like you should ask yourself, if I'm doing something, can I use AI for this to be more productive, or do it faster, or do it quicker? And you soon realize that more and more things that you do on a daily basis, that especially those repetitive ones, or especially where you're combining or analyzing multiple sources of information, is basically, this is where these tools shine and can do the job for you.
And Stuart, if you're okay, I might just share a quick word about the P&G study you were referencing earlier, because I think it nicely summarizes these comments. So I'd encourage everyone to Google this if you haven't. But back in spring, P&G partnered with the Harvard Business School and the Wharton School on a pretty groundbreaking study. So they took 600 P&Gers from both commercial functions like sales and finance, as well as from R&D. And they gave all 600 a strategic problem-solving task with fixed time. And they split them into groups. Some of them got to use Chat PG, the internal version, and some did not. And the results, I think, were just stunning. So, I mean, no surprise, but the people using Chat PG got results about 10 minutes faster in about an hour-long exercise. So no surprise. We know that AI makes our work faster. But those using ChatPG developed higher quality solutions. In fact, an individual using ChatPG developed higher quality solutions than a multifunctional team not using it. So think about that. You essentially upskill yourself to beyond the level of a team, which we all know from P&G, teams make us all better. ChatPG or ChatGPT is sort of like the ultimate teammate. And then the other thing that I found astounding in the study was commercially oriented people using Chat PG developed solutions that were as technically savvy as their R&D colleagues. So it was sort of upskilling you in areas of blind spot where you didn't necessarily have the skills. Chat PG was helping to compensate for those. So, higher quality results, faster, and filling in skill gaps. I think it kind of nicely summarizes everything my colleagues here just talked about.
There's a question coming in. I think, Kevin, based on what you're saying, if a client can use these tools just as efficiently, what's the value proposition of the consultant using AI?
Yeah. So I can quickly address that. I have seen over and over in my work that it's the combination of the AI plus the human that gives you an exponential gain. And in fact, there's a really interesting leg of that study I just referenced where they let AI generate solutions with little oversight from a human. And what they found was those solutions were okay, but they had a very tight distribution. So they were all very similar. But then when a skilled human came in and started adding their own expertise, the distribution really started to widen. And so, and again, I've seen this over and over again. AI with unskilled use gives you an okay answer. So, in the case of, for example, bolstering your technical skills, certainly better than not having technical skills. But if you had a truly expert PhD scientist, I don't think a commercial person using Chat PG would rival them. So that's where you, with your unique knowledge, then bringing in the power of the tool, really get exponential gains. And that's what I try and share with my clients, that I would like to believe I'm a good consultant without AI. Then I bring AI in and the benefits just explode.
So I want to follow up, Hector, with you. We were talking before this about what do most people use Copilot for? And I think you said, well, they use it instead of Google. For most people, that's all they use these tools for. But isn't there more to it, Hector?
Oh, yes, of course. It is more than that. And now we have a lot of them use chat, what we call Copilot chat. That basically is instead you search. That's why they use now more than that, because then you can use it as a chat GTP and it's for free. And so you have chat GTP 4.0 or 5 for free, and a lot of people start using it because of that. And they use it to do more than just a search, right? I mean, they use it to really as an assistant of research and do things for them, create tables with information that they need, or things that they really In the past, they were taking time for them to do, and now they can do it through that. But now, in the other hand, we Copilot, we could talk about Copilot, right? So in ChatGPT, the PNG chip was with Microsoft, in partnership with Microsoft. So in the back, it's using Copilot, what we call Copilot Studio, to build that and do the generate AI and grab the information from other sources. So it is a lot of things that you can do with Copilot, and not just to do your summary of meetings, because a lot of people use for that. It is the most use that we see in is when you start seeing companies adopting is the meetings and the meeting notes and things like that. And then they obviously they evolve depend on the functions. A lot of functions, we call it really functional adoption, because, by example, in finance, as you know, they like Excel, so they use a lot of Copilot Excel in Excel, because they create a lot of graphics, formulas, and other things with Copilot that help us to do that. And with marketing, they use a lot of PowerPoint. So we've seen a lot of trends on that, on the Copilots, how functionally you use, and obviously the industry depends on the industry as well.
Right. So, yeah, if it's part of my Office 365, Copilot already knows who you are, what's in your inbox, what's on your calendar, what your files you've saved. Um, you can ask it a lot of things you're probably not used to asking a computer. So,
Exactly, yeah. And you have it there already, right? So to your
right.
point, you have access to your OneDrive, to you create a SharePoint. I mean, everything that you have and you create, it knows who you are.
Right. So I want to go to Joachim because you keep getting hired on trust and safety, and we might as well just ask this question now because I know it's coming, and then we won't spend too much time on it. With all these generative AI, people have heard about hallucinations and strange things like that. You've seen it at all these big companies, different points of view. Wh- What what should the layperson know about trust and safety?
That's a great question. I'll start maybe with a little bit of an intro. AI and AI systems, not generative AI, have been used by trust and safety teams
Mhm.
since inception of trust and safety teams. At the very beginning, you showed the diagram that was showing that AI as a concept has existed through tens of years and has been widely adopted by computer science and implemented by, I mean, it's scanning your emails for spam since Gmail was invented, for instance. I chose trust and safety because it kind of connected with the work that I was doing in P&G at my last assignment. I was dealing with lots and lots of abuse running hosting operations for P&G. Denials of service attacks, people trying to take the websites down, sending content that's inappropriate whenever we were running a contest with user uploaded content. So I started specializing and really loved the mission-driven nature of this work. That's how I got to Google, started working on Gmail, spam filters, and all sorts of other things. And I'm kind of doing elements of that with Alexa too. So that's sort of a common thread. But I'm also building more of a generative set of features now, which is closely connected with my passion, which is I really love these products and love use them as agents to help me be more productive in my day-to-day life. What the person should know. I mean, hallucinations, yes, these are predictive models that are like their job is to tell you what the next best guess of a word or a token is in a nutshell. But as an industry, we've addressed the hallucination problem fairly well by all sorts of technical concepts that we probably won't get into, but we can detect when the models start hallucinating by just sort of building detection logic as well as ragging, it's called, it's a technical term, in real world information before the answer is provided. So we use the same LLM concept that ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini does, or Alexa, while we detect hallucinations as the answers come. We're still not perfect. There's always going to be certain things that sort of slide in. And the big story out there these days is how you can get, I think there was a New York Times podcast yesterday on the Daily about people getting into a rabbit hole by having very long conversations with ChatGPT, actually, but others were quoted there too, where you can, these models, because they're just predictive in nature, and the longer you chat with them, they have this, they try to please you. So they try to agree with you sometimes, they're overly agreeable, as we call it,
Mm.
which may, in certain individuals, may create a situation where you feel, or you're getting a very, very strong signal from the bot that feels like a human reinforcing certain beliefs in you, and that can lead to dangerous situations for certain individuals. Which I encourage you to listen to that podcast and make your mind about that danger, and knowing where something like that is happening either to a person that is close to you or you yourself.
I want to follow up, Jakob, with you, and also you, Hector, next is with all this data that on your work, the difference between work accounts and free personal accounts and trust and safety. Like,
Yeah.
what happens to that data on your work account, and then what happens to that data on your free account, and what's the difference? Jakob, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I mean, having worked in big companies, and I'm pretty sure Hector has very strong opinions on that too. We have a strong separation, like in Amazon and pretty much anywhere that I've worked, where these tools are available. It's, of course, there's like, you're not supposed to be using open free tools for company classified data, or PNC data, or for that matter, even for things like interview recording. When the meeting summary that was mentioned before, it's, for instance, it's not allowed for external interviews to be done for many legal reasons, wiretapping laws, etc. So I see I see there's like an enterprise set of solutions that is developing that pretty much will match in quality as well as the aspects of the customer experience, the free product tier, but I don't see them mingling in time, because of these strategic differences in terms of what the companies, from a legal privacy perspective, security perspective, need to pay attention to and obey.
Hector, you want to
Yeah,
expand?
yes. Jacob was mentioning, I mean, in companies that use or tools as an enterprise solution, I mean, they are secure, so they are not open. So the data that you use on them stay on their tenant, meaning in the company, so they don't go out. And to even Jacob point about going out in information, so it's very critical that companies know that, and believe it or not, a lot of companies, they don't know, or they don't close it fast enough, and they start sharing information outside using ChatGPT, and in the free version and the open. And basically, the free version is free, so you share information outside your company. So it's a very big risk, and the company needs to know when they start using it. Is now a ChatGPT version for enterprise as well that is secure and they don't share data outside. But a lot of people doesn't know that, right? So it is important to really understand that, and the risk, even when you use the free version, right? Whatever you post in there is open, so go out as you as an individual. So you need to be just conscious about what you're using it for. And from the enterprise versions, and again, Copilot, even Copilot, the free version is secure. So sometimes the answers are not as broad or that you have in the free versions, is because have security around. Or you cannot do some things that the free versions can do, like take pictures and ask that picture to give you information. I mean, things like that for privacy and security as well. I mean, unless your enterprise allow you to do that, then that is enabled inside your company for your company purposes. But the data stay in your company, so that's one of the major risks and highlights, right? So
I think I hear a theme here. If your company's paying for your account, it's secure. If you're getting it for free, you may be in essence just giving all your information to whatever company you're dealing with. It doesn't have to be your two companies. Could be Anthropic or any of the. If you're using it for free, you are in essence giving them, and they can do legally what they want with it. Now so yeah, I think the same is probably true with if you're a solo consultant and you're paying for a a paid account, I think you're not giving it away. If you're paying for 365 Microsoft 365 AI,
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
you're good, you're safe, right? And
Exactly.
same with
Yeah.
ChatGPT, et cetera. So that's kind of the dividing line between free and paid. Um, if it's that old thing, if it's free, you're the product, and everything you give them, they can keep.
Yeah. Nothing
So
is really free in this life, right?
yeah. Okay. Um, so another question came in about using these Gen AI tools. What is the risk of people getting lazy, especially students? And Kevin, I know you just signed up to teach, so why don't you start?
Yeah, and it's funny, we even face this challenge at P&G. So, for example, Chat GPT or Chat PG is an amazing concept writer. Concepts are core to new product or commercial innovation development. And we kind of wrestled with this of, well, if this can write a concept, then our new assistant brand managers, do they need to know? And yeah, like I said, I was recently brought on by the University of Michigan as a lecturer in the marketing department, teaching their first AI course in applied marketing. And the way we're trying to teach it, and what we tried to do at P&G as well, is really reinforce the point that you have to be good at the work without AI in order to be exceptional at the work with AI. And part of that, I was typing this in the chat as a follow up to one of the questions we talked about earlier. Um, you have to know what questions to ask and how to critically evaluate its output. And if you can challenge the model back and forth on, hey, I'm not sure about this, tell me more, or I think you need to refine it here, you will get to a much better output. Now, again, if you know nothing about the topic, ChatGPT alone will get you to a 50th percentile answer very quickly. But if you want to get to the 99th percentile, if you want to get exceptional, you really do have to be good at the work first. So in this course that I'm teaching starting in winter, we're going to start by reinforcing marketing principles without AI. What is great marketing? And then bring AI in to take it to the next level with the knowledge of what great is without. So I do think it's a huge risk, but I think it's on all of us. This can't be an excuse not to coach and develop people. We coach and develop people, and use of AI is part of that, but ensuring they know what good is without AI is critical.
Fantastic. Well, one of the things that's coming up, and this is not a technical question, but I want to start with you, Jakob, is I'm seeing the word agents, agent this, agent that. Are we going to be able to tell our Amazon Alexa to, plan a trip and pay for it in the near future, or what is going on?
Um, that's actually possible right now in the early access of Alexa. We've built 300 agentic experiences already and are adding more and more. I actually remember that there was a cartoon series by Hanna-Barbera called The Jetsons,
Hmm.
and there was a robot named Rosie. We don't have flying cars yet, but there was a robot named Rosie that was vacuuming, that was basically sort of a robot in your home assisting you. I actually think that we're not. I mean, Optimus is where Tesla's heading. We're thinking slowly about that form of agentic. We already have tons of robots in Amazon across the warehouses that are moving things around, also picking up things and packing things slowly. But I think that the ultimate in 10 plus years probably, or maybe even sooner, will be a true agent that will do the laundry for you, vacuum your house, not only on that floor, but will actually walk the stairs and organize things for you. That's not far-fetched. It's literally there's multiple startups in the Bay Area that are working on it. But for now, agentic means we talked about this concept of moving from, hey, rewrite this email for me, to, hey, here's the research, here's the market. Can you write a product proposal based on this? To now, you're like, I want to go to see the Warriors next time there's a game. Can you scout for tickets for me under $200 and buy two when you find them? Like that's currently possible on Alexa.
Yeah. So basically, I want to add what Jacob was saying. Basically, when you do actions, the agents really do actions for you, right? So, as Jacob was saying, I mean, we see that in a lot of industries, and in the retail industry, a lot of that with some of the Microsoft products that we build for them. And how I see in the future is agents talking to agents. So the Amazon agent is going to talk with an agent that was created with Microsoft, was created with Google, and because they're gonna start having this agentic environment that they cannot talk to each other. So you can ask your agent to do things for you, not just in one platform, but cross platforms, and talking these agent each other. So that's what I see that happening in the near future. And that will save a lot of money as well to companies, right? Because then they will not need to create pipelines for data from one area to another area. You are a multi-cloud, or you have more than one cloud or one solution. Because we know that it's all the companies that are good and when I say the company, not just Microsoft, but a lot of companies good in what they do. So, and you want to bring all that when you are in your company, right? So how can I bring all that? And it's going to make it easier when you will have agents that can talk with other agents. So it's going to be a lot of common language with agents to communicate between them. So it's going to be very interesting in the near future when you can communicate, the agents can communicate each other.
Wow. Kevin, does that come up when you're training companies? Can I just give give the purchasing department a virtual purchasing agent a credit card and just call it good?
Yeah, we're not quite there yet, but I will say in the pro version of ChatGPT, so the $200 a month version, there is an agent that you can experiment with. And just one practical example that I just did last week, which is pretty cool to illustrate what agents can do. So I had a P&L of a company that I put in a secure version of Chat GPT, and I had identified the various variables and factors that may influence them, i.e., commodities and how that would flow through to the P&L. So I tasked the agent with running a Monte Carlo simulation, going out and getting historical data on those commodities, and then running hundreds and hundreds of runs of the P&L and giving the probability that it would land in a certain place. Now that would, so regular ChatGPT can't do something like that. It could de-risk, but it couldn't do those kinds of runs. And that would have taken me hours if I had to do it myself. It autonomously went out, retrieved the data from the web, and then did the runs based on my Excel spreadsheet. So it just gives you a sense of what's possible. It's still early in terms of the off-the-shelf tools, but I ran that in ChatGPT.
All right. And here's a question from our sponsors, the Cincinnati and San Francisco chapters. Uh, if a P&G alumni is being asked to use AI in their projects and they don't know where to start, what should they do?
I think they really need to start, I would say, with fundamentals that we're saying, right? I mean, start really understanding what AI fundamental, machine learning, generative AI, responsible AI. I mean, some of the fundamentals in AI, and then start experimenting with whatever tool they want to use, ChatGPT, Copilot, or in Google, or Work, or whatever is the AI that they wanna use. But I think they need to start with the fundamentals, right? To
Okay.
understand what is AI. And what was the basis for that? Again, machine learning and generative AI. What is generative AI? What is the difference between them? So start, talking a little bit more of the language. And I'm gonna love Kevin. Maybe he's starting that way, maybe not. I don't know. Kevin.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and we talked about some uses, and I'm even watching the chat, and I think what we're talking about is firing some thoughts of how people might use it. The other big suggestion that I'd have is find a prompting framework, and one that works for you. There's a huge body of evidence that the quality of output that you get from an AI model is directly correlated with the quality and sophistication of your prompts. And I've had so many clients say, yeah, I typed something into ChatGPT and the answer was all right. And then we work on crafting a real prompt. And it's not that hard. You just need a framework. We craft a real prompt, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's hard to believe this is even the same model. So that's the other big advice I'd have is find a prompting framework, and really apply it. It makes a huge difference.
Plus one. And I'll give you even a pro tip. You can ask the model to write the prompt for you. So just describe what you're looking for and say, you're the best prompter in the world, and I'm looking to do XYZ. Can you write the right prompts that I can use with Gemini, ChatGPT, Copilot, Alexa, and you will get a really nicely formatted prompt. But the good news is the industry is moving more and more into previously you had to code, you had to really code in order to build apps. Now you really need to understand how prompting works and how to structure it, pick a framework, and be like build your expertise in this area. But more and more, this is going to be, I think, in a couple of years, we will forget about prompting. We will just ask for what we want, and we will get it. But right now, my pro tip is what Kevin is saying. Just ask your chatbot of choice to write the right prompt for you.
Great answers. Um, and as I mentioned, from Shantini and I, our sponsored advertisement is come to P&G alumni events and learn from your other alumni, because as today is demonstrating, I hope that we have people out there who understand what you mean when you say where to play and how to win, and are learning a lot about AI, a whole lot of us. So um, there are a bunch of folks out there. Don't forget that alumni actually return your phone calls, even if you haven't met them before. So yeah. Anyway, um, let's see. Are there any particular functions, manufacturing, logistics, marketing, HR, where you know you really see a lot of traction in AI? You just see a lot of change all at once, or is it kind of all over the place? I mean, is there anything really standing out function wise?
Yeah, functional wise, let me tell you from my experience in with Copilot, what I see with the in general with Copilot customers that we do and all that, we see a lot of as what I mentioned before, a lot of functional adoption and the Copilot where they work, right? We have a Copilot for Excel, for example, so the finance people will use a lot of that Copilot for Excel, and because they use a spreadsheet, and now they can write functions with Copilot. They can help it to do even Python things in there and start exploring really a lot of the data that you have in Excel. So we see a lot of that functionally, right? A lot of the customer information or get to customer engagement and knowledge from marketing, by example. And I'm sure Kevin used a lot of that with his customers, right? Get information of consumers and things like that. And how they can engage better the consumer with things that they do. So functionally, we see a lot of that adoption, and as well in manufacturing, as you mentioned, we see a lot of adoption in manufacturing with digital twins and things like that. I mentioned digital twins because we combine in Microsoft for solutions with digital twins and agents on the top, so we can do a lot of things. And we have agents now that they help you to create digital twins, so you don't need to be an expert creating them. To Jacob's point, now you can ask Copilot, for example, to create for you things and help you to do that. So we do see a lot of that functionally. At least that's my experience in this area. So I will leave it to the rest of the panel to talk about their experiences.
Yeah, I would just add, I mean, what I've seen is so much of it comes down to the culture of the function in that organization. Because, I mean, the truth is, and in my work at P&G, I worked across technical and commercial functions. And I mean, there are great uses in R&D, there are great uses in supply chain, in the commercial functions. A lot of it is like who wants help and who wants to embrace a new way of doing something. I will say within that, I do think, and this is not just because I came from marketing, but there's so much potential in marketing because so much of what marketing does is try to predict consumer reaction to new propositions. And a lot of work that I do with clients is actually simulated market research, either qualitative or quantitative or even simulated launches. And our ability to anticipate and run scenarios, it's just exploded now that we have this predictive tool. In fact, if I were a market research agency, I'd be very worried about getting disrupted because I can do myself in 2 hours what was $100,000 research study and get probably 60 or 70% of the predictive power out of off-the-shelf chat GPT. So I think there's a ton of potential in marketing, but I mean, the truth is there's a ton of potential no matter what function you're working with.
I'll just add an anecdote to this. I remember writing a test on my first year of computer science courses, and the question was, who should be having an internet presence? And the list went a jeweler, a shoemaker, a supermarket. And the right answer, spoiler alert, was all of them. This was like back 20 something years ago. And I remember like thinking about this question and sort of shoemaker, like, shoe repair shop. Sorry, it wasn't shoemaker, shoe repair shop. Like, really? Like, people know their local shoe repair shop. They don't have to be online. They don't have to have a web presence. And, the answer is everybody. And I think very similar to what we're hearing is any function can find good use case to produce value, either initially through that productivity improvement and just getting the results faster. My mental model is you can get to the 80%, our famous Pareto rule that we always use in PG. You can get to that first 80% draft like within minutes of whatever you're working on. Proposals, market analysis, research, a draft of whatever you're working on. I do a lot of product management work, so I write a lot of business requirement documents, project proposals. Now in Amazon, a lot of PR FAQs, as we call them, so 6-pagers. Like normally this would take me days, and now I can literally do a proposal from a bunch of research that I just throw into the bucket. Here's the research. Here's all the recorded interviews with our users. Here's all of the bugs that we have in the pipeline. Can you analyze it, stack rank it, and write a proposal of what we should be focusing in the next 3 months? Boom, you got it, right? You have to correct it, you have to overlay, but like now I can have something that I can start with in minutes rather than something that I would have to have probably multiple people sitting down and researching and using their brains and power. Now I can use that brain power to actually get other more high value work done. And I outsource all of that analysis and thinking to these tools.
So Kevin, this is a question I think for you, and then everyone else. The question's coming up. What about people in the organization? There is a recent study that
Yeah.
the number one reason why Gen AI implementations fail is the employees haven't been prepared for it. They're not digitally savvy enough. The tool works great, but they don't use it or they don't know how. The other thing is, so what do you do about the people in the organization? And actually 2 years ago, P&G CIO actually mentioned that was his top objective of Chat PG was I need to have a digitally savvy organization, and that's what we're working on. And I'm sure that's what you were working on. So, what do you think?
And I'd love to hear from my fellow panelists on this. I may take a more controversial approach in my answer potentially. So what I would say is so much of what I've seen working with generative AI models is what yields great output starts with great human thinking, right? So if I know how to frame a problem, if I know how to push and challenge the model to then push me back, if I know when to start questioning, is this a hallucination or is this an amazing insight? And how do I sort of judge? I will be much more effective in working with the model. And so there is an element of digital savvy for sure, but a lot of the skill set comes down to just great fundamental thinking. Do I have functional knowledge? And do I know how to solve problems? Do I know how to challenge and think critically? Because without that, again, what I've seen over and over again is you'll get a 50th percentile answer. It'll certainly be better than nothing, but none of us are looking for 50th percentile answers. And to really outperform with AI, you've got to be fundamentally strong first. So my advice would be keep hiring great talent and then teach them how to use AI tools, which is it's certainly not that hard. It's we're not dealing with coding as the panelist said earlier. We're not dealing with coding or deep technical knowledge, but have them apply their fundamental knowledge with the aid of a great AI model. That would be my advice.
Yeah, and just to complement that, it's I always say what you want to use it for, right? That is the same thing. I mean, not necessarily AI will solve all your issues or your problems, but what you need to know what you're going to make use of. What is your problem, right? That you try to solve, because it's not obviously it's not going to work. From the Copilot standpoint, and I'm going to be more specific. Copilot 365 Copilot that is a tool that is inside Microsoft tools. That what we see is that people doesn't take the time to understand the tool or what the capabilities of the tool so they can use it. Because it's a tool that is already there and is for your usage. That is different that you use AI for a specific problem. I want to say that because you can use that Copilot to solve the problem. but it's on tools that you have already. So people one time mentioned to me another lady, and I say, "Oh, that's a good analogy." She's like, "Oh, when I moved from to Windows, because she didn't use Windows, it was very difficult to me to understand what capabilities I have in Windows." So I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." I say, "Well, it's the same thing now. It's another tool, right?" So it's another tool and it's different, and it's going to give you a lot of capabilities in your work to make it more productive, but it's a tool and you need to understand the tool. So training and change management is critical when we do rollouts in Copilot and companies, and they know that. But we're seeing that more and more the people have it and they don't know the whole capabilities that they have in their hands.
I agree with my colleagues. I would add maybe I kind of see the downside as well happening a little bit. If I just look at the numbers of more of an entry level positions that are being opened by different companies, I feel like we will go through a period where what Kevin was talking about, there's this concept of a 10x engineer in Bay Area, right? A person that can that outcodes and outputs 10x the amount of work code and gets stuff done versus a more of a regular engineer. I feel like what these tools are providing us, if you use them, it's like you can create many 10x people, not only engineers, but many 10x people. So that's the sort of the encouragement. It's like that's the knowledge worker of the future. It's a smart, generally capable individual that can scale themselves by using these tools. And I'm not a designer, but I can design now. I'm not a coder, but I can vibe code now quickly and get to a prototype. I'm not a market researcher or user researcher, but I can quickly analyze that data and give me good recommendations for steering my product the right way, right? It's like that's the 10x concept in practice using the tools. But I feel in the long run this will come like so it's an encouragement as a double-edged sword. And at the same time, I think there will be a period of adjustment where there will be less need for more of an entry-level positions. But over time, I think it will stabilize as with any new technology that's coming, that we went through mobile productivity improvements. I feel like that's sort of another wave, a big wave, but it tends to humans are hugely adaptable, and we will adapt over time and simply incorporate that into the way we do things.
Great.
But just in 30 seconds, I just wanted to build. I saw a really interesting hypothesis recently that people who are poor in working with other people are also poor in working with AI models because it's a very similar skill set, right? Are you absorbing the information? Are you reacting it? Do you know how to frame feedback? Do you know how to ask questions? Are you humble enough to question your own thinking? If you're not good at that, you're going to struggle with people. And as my colleagues have said, working with an AI model is a lot like just having a conversation with a colleague.
That's great. Well, that's a wonderful place to leave it. Could we quickly go around if you where can people find you or your companies or blogs or newsletters that they can follow? And if we could think of some afterwards, we can include them in the we send usually a follow-up letter to the people here today. But who'd like to start? Follow you or your company?
I'm
What's
very
going
sim
on?
I'm very simple. I don't have a blog, but or a newsletter yet. Who knows? For now, LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn, follow me, connect with me. I'm sharing from time to time interesting tidbits of information about AI and other things.
For me, the same. I'm a LinkedIn and I'm there a lot. So you can follow me there very quickly.
And for me, my website is kwconsulting.ai. kwconsulting.ai. That links to my LinkedIn, where I'm also active as well.
All right. Well, thank you, panelists. This was wonderful and very educational. Thank you, everybody who attended. Our official time is over for today, and I hope to hear from a lot of you and see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.